世界のみんなとつながろう Bridges across world communities.
Hello everyone and welcome to Bridges Across World Communities, sponsored by NIA, the Nishinomiya City International Association. My name is Thelma.
And I'm Floyd. Each month we provide practical knowledge for daily living and important information about disaster prevention.
This program is for English-speaking residents in the Nishinomiya area and is broadcast on the second and fourth Saturdays of each month from 12 noon to 12:15.
This month we have information about using your foreign driver's license in Japan.
We'll also talk about linear rain bands called Senjoko Soitai in Japanese.
And we have the second half of our interview with Dr. Sarah Olive, originally from the UK and currently living in Nishinomiya.
提供は西宮市国際交流協会です。Today we are going to talk about driving in Japan using a license issued in a foreign country.
But of course, if you plan to be a long-term resident, it would be best to get a Japanese driver's license.
And I understand it's tough even for Japanese people to get a license here.
Yes, driving tests are very difficult, and it can take a lot of time and money to finally get your license. However, there are 3 ways to legally drive in Japan if you already have a valid license, driver's license, from another country.
The first way is to get an international driving permit or IDP issued through your country's National Automobile Association before coming to Japan. You can use that IDP together with your foreign driver's license to drive in Japan for a maximum of 1 year. Japan recognizes international driving permits from over 100 countries and regions, and it's a good option for people visiting Japan for a short period of time. But remember, the IDP is not valid on its own, and you must carry both your IDP and your foreign driver's license.
The second way is if you have a driver's license from any of the following 6 countries: Switzerland, Germany, France, Belgium, Monaco, or Taiwan, and you also have a Japanese translation attached to it. Then you can drive in Japan for up to 1 year from your date of entry, or until the expiration of the driver's license, whichever comes first.
And the third way, if you live in Japan for more than 3 months and have official resident status, you can convert your Class 1 foreign driver's license to a Japanese driver's license. This conversion is recommended for people who plan to stay in Japan longer than 1 year.
However, there are some important requirements for the conversion. First of all, only registered residents can convert their license. Second, your foreign driver's license must still be valid. Third, you must prove you lived in the issuing country for at least 3 months after the foreign license was issued. And fourth, you must pass an aptitude test, a vision test, a written test of traffic rules, and a road test of actual driving skills.
In Hyogo Prefecture, you can take the written test in English, Chinese, Portuguese, or Vietnamese. And the helpful books Rules of the Rules, published in 5 languages by the Japan Automobile Federation, is available at JAF locations and through Amazon.
Now, Japan has reciprocal agreements with 29 countries that allow for an easier conversion of foreign driver's licenses. For example, when you convert from a Canadian driver's license, like I did, you don't need to take the written test or the road test.
However, if you're from America, only Ohio, Virginia, Hawaii, Maryland, and Washington State have this reciprocal agreement with Japan. So most Americans must pass both the written and the road test.
That's right. And many Americans I've spoken to say it usually takes 2 or 3 times to pass the road test. So it can be, time-consuming and expensive. I've even heard it implied that Japanese testers take special delight in failing foreigners on the road test.
So where and how would one go about converting a foreign driver's license here in Hyogo Prefecture?
Well, if you live in Nishinomiya, you can do it at the Akashi Driver's License Test Office. The fee for converting a license is about 4,600 yen. Shall we go over the basic steps?
Okay.
First, you should do some research and make sure you have all the required documentation. This will be different from person to person based on various factors and the issuing country of your current license.
Now, second, you must make an appointment at the Akashi Driver's License Test Office. Appointments can be made in Japanese only on weekdays between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. by calling 078-912-1777 or 078-912-1778.
During your appointment, if the documents are approved, you'll take the tests for things like vision impairment and color blindness and the written test. If you pass all these, then they'll assign a day and time for your on-road driving test.
Well, as we mentioned, the written test can be taken in English, but everything else will be in Japanese. If your Japanese is not at the level where you can do this on your own, please ask for help from someone who can speak Japanese when calling to make the appointment or going to Akashi Driver's License Test Office. If you search online by entering something like how to convert a Japanese driver's license, you can find detailed information in English, including what documents are required and even posting from people who have gone through the process.
The Japanese Automobile Federation, or JAF, also provides all kinds of useful information on today's topic in English. So just do a search for JAF English. And we're welcoming back Dr. Sarah Olive for the second half of our interview. Thank you for joining us again.
Thank you for letting me come back.
Now, we went over last month, we were talking a lot about, you're a professor, first of all, at the Kobe Gogakuen University, and you're in the English department and teaching English literature and focusing kind of on Shakespeare. We talked a lot about Shakespeare and what you were doing last month. I have one of these newbie questions.
Okay,
what is your favorite Shakespeare quote or line or play, something you really want to push out there?
That's a really good one. And actually, I think I've shared it with my students already. So if they're listening, like you get the count of 3 to remember what I said. I love a line from a pretty obscure play called All's Well That Ends Well, which obviously is a line that we use in English quite a lot. But Helena, the main character, who has learnt kind of physician's trade from her father, she says something like, oft in ourselves best remedies do lie. So often we have the resources we need when we hit a problem. We just have to kind of dig deep, right? And find them within ourselves. Now, that isn't always true. Sometimes you do need interventions from a fire brigade or an ambulance or whatever it might be. But I like it because it's a good one for travelers, right?
Yes.
Like when you're traveling and you realize that there are no more trains because the trains have finished for the night, you got to sit there and work out what your plan B and C is, right?
I like that. I like that we have the power within ourselves to solve problems. Reminds me of my son. He would call in when he was traveling, and he'd have these problems traveling. My wife would just say, all the answers are right there for you. So it sounds to me very similar. But now, last month, we also talked about you had just come to Japan in March. You've been you're teaching about 1 or 2 semesters. Was this your first trip to Japan?
No, it actually is a super high point of coming here almost every year until the pandemic through spanners in the works. Since, well, very originally, I came very briefly in 2004 to visit friends on the JET program teaching teaching English in Osaka.
Interesting. So 2004, so that's quite a ways back. So 16 years you've been coming here. So have you seen any changes?
Oh, that's a really good question. So I think I'd be really ill-informed to observe the changes because in a way, when I came first, I came to Kansai, and that was my first experience was here in this region, visiting Osaka, visiting Kobe, and most of the rest of my experiences from 2014 onwards have been visiting Tokyo. So actually, it's a real pleasure to be back here and to be rediscovering areas and things like Kobe Harborland and the Nonobiki Herb Gardens that I haven't been to for years. But the changes in the garden are probably seasonal, right? Just different plants, different flowers, still looking amazing.
So when are you planning to move to Japan permanently?
Oh my goodness. I can't say it on air because then my husband will totally know when we need to get selling the house and packing the bags by.
Where's your husband now?
He is in Stratford-upon-Avon, which is a great place for Shakespeare otaku to live. And he's looking after the cat because the cat and the dragon don't get on, you know.
So has he been to Japan?
He hasn't, but what I kind of hope in my unofficial ambassador work is that I can bring him out to Japan for the first time, and he will visit in autumn.
How do you think he's going to like it?
I think he's going to be very excited to discover Japanese beer and Japanese whiskey.
Yes. So.
Yes, I was wondering if Drake really likes Japan.
Yeah, you know what? I think he feels a natural affinity, right? Because he meets a lot of other dragons at the temples here.
Really?
You know, in the architecture and also, dragon imagery. So he feels right at home.
That's a good related,
Now, your students are struggling. Well, I wouldn't say struggling, but you're giving them some pretty high-level English to deal with. How's your Japanese? Can you talk to them in Japanese?
Oh my gosh, can I say something in Japanese? That is a really good question. So I can say the very obvious, Nihongo benkyou chu desu, which is, a good way to start a conversation. In a way, you at least have forewarned people, right?
I always start at Nihongo wa amari hanasemasen. That's how I start.
Sounds good.
So what are you doing to improve your Japanese?
So I have been really lucky in that I found out about Nishinomiya International Association, and I kind of dipped my toes into the water, sending an email just saying, do you have any classes that I can join in? Are there any events for foreigners that are organized in this area? And I guess I kind of became sort of addicted because I come to classes that are like a structured class on a Wednesday night. It's been so great, not only in improving my Japanese, but my empathy for students who have to listen to my 100% English instruction. Yeah. And I've come to a new model of learning Japanese where I get 100% Japanese instruction.
Interesting.
And actually, it's great for flagging up to me what I can do better when I'm teaching my students and what I need to take account of. Like, you get tired, right, quite quickly when you're working in an additional language. It's kind of fatiguing on the brain, and I need to be aware of that and build in more breaks for my students. But guys, this isn't a promise if you're listening.
Yeah, I hear a lot of good things about NIA. Oh, wait, they're our sponsor, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, good point. NIA. Now, really quickly, we're also already down to just less than a minute left here. Is there anything else you'd like to add or anything we should know?
Oh my goodness, that's a really big question. Well, I will be carrying on doing lots of exciting Shakespeare extracurricular activities on Kobe College campus. We do things like Shakespeare scavenger hunts. We really love looking at Shakespeare, but in a very the location that we're situated in. The hillsides here, the forest, the woods, those are all in Shakespeare, right? We're just giving it a little bit of a very hot and humid twist.
So I guess there is such a thing as a Shakespeare otaku then.
Oh, there are many. I mean, Japan has a Shakespeare association that is very active, including in the Kansai region.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Sarah Olive, for joining us. It's been really a lot of fun, and I'm still not a big Shakespeare fan, but I feel like I picked up a little more.
Well, it's another language that you can add to your portfolio.
Yeah. So thank you for joining us, and good luck.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Bosai Joho desu.
In recent years, usually during summer, we've been hearing a lot about Senjoko Soitai, or linear rain bands.
Linear rain bands refer to multiple rain clouds that form into lines. There's no standard definition, but generally, they're cumulonimbus clouds that bring heavy rain. When they pass over the same area for many hours, they're referred to as linear rain bands.
So, if you hear the term Senjoku Saitai during a weather report, it means there's a good chance of heavy rainstorms lasting for many hours.
Now, even if there isn't an evacuation order declared, you should be cautious when going outside or near steep slopes or bodies of water like streams and rivers.
Always be prepared for this kind of rainstorms beforehand of confirming your evacuation locations and routes.
For consultation services and any other inquiries, please contact NIA at 0798-328680 or send an email to nia@nishi.or.jp.
Please continue to be careful and stay safe.
提供は西宮市国際交流協会でした。
Have a great weekend, everyone.
Bye bye.